George Bailey in It's a Wonderful Life. 1946, It's a Wonderful Life stands out as a landmark in character development, charting one of the era's most profound transformation arcs. George Bailey's journey, from hopeful idealist to a man crushed by sacrifice and despair, then reborn through community and connection, captured the post-war American psyche like few others. James Stewart's performance, shaped by his own wartime experiences, brought a rare emotional depth, while director Frank Capra's insistence on balancing despair with redemption pushed cinematic storytelling boundaries within the constraints of the Hays Code. Though the film initially faltered at the box office and was dismissed for its sentimentality, its resurrection in the 1970s, thanks to a copyright lapse, cemented its place as a classic exemplar of nuanced growth and redemption on screen. Bailey's arc, moving beyond simple heroics to explore vulnerability, sacrifice, and ultimate renewal, remains one of the greatest and most influential character journeys of Golden Age cinema, illustrating how deeply personal stories can resonate across generations. Mildred Pierce and Mildred Pierce. In 1945, Mildred Pierce and Mildred Pierce was more than a mere role. She marked a pivotal shift. Joan Crawford, once deemed outdated by MGM, secured the part at Warner Brothers and molded it into a career-redefining showcase. Mildred's evolution, adapted from James M. Cain's 1941 novel, traces a woman who builds a restaurant empire post-divorce, only to be toppled by her daughter's raw ambition. The layered emotions, mixing maternal guilt, social anxiety, and sheer perseverance, made her distinct from that era's conventional on-screen women. She wasn't awaiting rescue by a man. She fought, failed, and rebuilt all by her own will. Crawford's portrayal netted her the Academy Award for Best Actress, reinstating her as a powerhouse in Hollywood. During shooting, director Michael Curtiz supposedly doubted Crawford's capacity to command the picture. That skepticism fueled her determination, and it shines in every frame. Some industry tales suggest that Curtiz had initially favored Bette Davis or Barbara Stanwyck for the role, a rumor still making the rounds among cinema devotees. Visually, the film's noir aesthetic, gleaming streets in the rain, stark contrasts, and heavy shadows, mirrored Mildred's internal spiral. While many contemporaneous movies clung to domestic fantasies, Mildred's story revealed the toll of aspiration and the precariousness of triumph. It was more than mere drama, it served as a reckoning wrapped in glamour and grit. Margot Channing in All About Eve. In the landscape of Golden Age cinema, Bette Davis's portrayal of Margot Channing in All About Eve in 1950 remains one of the era's most compelling character arcs. Margot's journey, from a commanding Broadway star confronting aging and fading fame to a candid, introspective woman adapting with fierce resilience, broke Hollywood's conventional mold for female roles. At 42, Davis herself was battling the box office poison stigma, and this role became her bold comeback, showcasing a transformation that was as much personal as it was fictional. Joseph L. Mankiewicz's sharp writing gave Margot a complexity rarely seen. Ambitious but never diminished by romance or sentimentality, she simply recalibrated in the face of challenge. All About Eve's critical acclaim, marked by a record 14 Academy Award nominations, underscored the film's narrative power and Davis's nuanced performance, even as she narrowly missed the Best Actress win. Margot Channing's arc stands out in Golden Age cinema history for its refusal to conform to easy stereotypes. She neither collapses nor capitulates, but evolves with relentless grit. This layered evolution not only redefined Davis's career, but also set a new standard for character development, illustrating how classic Hollywood could deliver deeply human, fiercely independent journeys on screen. Joe Gillis in Sunset Boulevard. In 1950, Sunset Boulevard introduced one of the most striking character arcs in Golden Age cinema through Joe Gillis, a disillusioned screenwriter narrating his own demise. Played by William Holden, Gillis captures the post-war creative collapse, caught between Hollywood's fading golden era and its harsh realities. The screenplay by Billy Wilder and Charles Brackett peeled back noir tropes to reveal a raw story of ambition drained and dreams destroyed. His toxic relationship with Norma Desmond, an aging silent film star portrayed by Gloria Swanson, becomes a haunting symbol of Hollywood's refusal to let go of its past glory. The film's unforgettable pool scene, with Gillis's ghostly reflection captured in a masterful shot by cinematographer John F. Seitz, sealed its place in cinematic history. Earning 11 Academy Award nominations and winning 3, including Best Screenplay, Sunset Boulevard stands out for its profound exploration of downfall and denial. Gillis's tragic unraveling, from hopeful hustler to resigned ghost, remains a definitive example of complex character development during cinema's golden age, reflecting the era's darker truths about fame, failure, and survival. Tom Jode in The Grapes of Wrath. Few character journeys from Hollywood's heyday struck with the same force or subtlety as Tom Jode's in The Grapes of Wrath. Released in 1940 and drawn from John Steinbeck's Pulitzer-recognized novel, the film recounts the story of Tom, newly freed from prison and discovering a home front in tatters. Initially a man intent on minding his own, he evolves into one of the period's most stirring depictions of moral insight. Tom starts off brittle, practical, even distant. But as the Jode clan is swept up in the Dust Bowl exodus, his perspective shifts. Each act of injustice severs another layer of his apathy. By the time he proclaims his now immortal speech, "I'll be there wherever there's a fight so hungry people can eat," he's become more than a lone figure. He's a champion for those muzzled by the Great Depression. Director John Ford, esteemed for his westerns more than social commentary, took a chance on casting Henry Fonda. Yet Fonda's subdued performance elevated Tom to an icon of unwavering, quiet rebellion. Conjecture has circulated for decades that Fonda's own liberal leanings, reportedly monitored by the FBI, infused the role with extra weight. Some also believe Steinbeck personally advocated for Fonda, though no hard evidence confirms it. His evolution resonates because it avoids contrivance. Tom never morphs into a paragon. He simply awakens. At a time when countless were urged to keep their heads down, that awakening felt revolutionary. His passage from self-concern to communal care cemented Tom Jode as one of cinema's most enduring figures. And through that transformation, The Grapes of Wrath transcended beyond just a movie, becoming a reflection of a fractured nation. Cal Trask in East of Eden. In East of Eden, from 1955, Cal Trask stands out as one of the last major character journeys of Hollywood's golden age. Loosely inspired by the biblical Cain, Cal wrestles with rejection, guilt, and a desperate need for paternal approval. His progression, starting as a jealous, impulsive teen and ending in a moment of emotional reckoning, was shaped not just by the script but by James Dean's layered performance. Contrary to some claims, the pivotal birthday gift scene was scripted, though Dean's emotional breakdown was his own addition. Director Elia Kazan reportedly encouraged Dean to channel unresolved pain from his own strained childhood. Rumors suggest co-star Raymond Massey was genuinely rattled by Dean's improvisation, adding an unscripted tension to the scene. Dean's method acting, discipline, not chaotic, helped to modernize male vulnerability on screen, but the focus remains on Cal's transformation, from a boy defined by resentment to a young man capable of remorse. While a few commentators theorize that Cal's depth of feeling paved the way for later cinematic anti-heroes, his journey remains distinct for its time, raw, unresolved, and far more personal than most Golden Age protagonists. Laura Hunt in Laura. In 1944's Laura, Laura Hunt is more myth than woman for much of the film. Presumed dead, she's remembered only through flashbacks, hearsay, and a portrait that becomes almost talismanic. Detective Mark McPherson, fiancé Shelby Carpenter, and columnist Waldo Leidecker all shape her identity through their own projections, each convinced they knew her best. But when Laura walks through the door alive, the illusion collapses. Her return doesn't just revive the mystery, it reclaims her agency. Suddenly, she's no longer the passive subject of male memory, but a living, thinking woman with her own voice. Gene Tierney's performance straddles detachment and resolve, earning critical praise for its subtlety. The film, adapted from Vera Kasperi's 1943 novel, pushed boundaries for its time. While noir often leaned into fatalistic portrayals of women, Laura's progression flipped the script. She wasn't the femme fatale. She was the enigma that refused to be simplified. Numerous film scholars argue Preminger clashed with studio heads who wanted a more straightforward murder mystery. Legends tease that he even threatened to walk if the psychological layers were stripped away. Whether true or not, the final product kept its complexity and became a noir landmark. Laura's reappearance forces every man around her to confront how little they actually knew her. In a genre obsessed with control and illusion, Laura Hunt became a rare exception, a woman who shattered both. Fletcher Christian in Mutiny on the Bounty. In 1935's Mutiny on the Bounty, Clark Gable's turn as Fletcher Christian marked a sharp pivot in his on-screen identity. Known for his suave, mustachioed charm, Gable ditched the trademark facial hair for a clean-shaven, regulation-ready look, officially to match British naval standards. A number of observers wonder it was also a strategic move to shake off romantic typecasting and prove his dramatic range. The gamble paid off. Christian's progression, shifting from loyal officer to defiant mutineer, offered a layered study in moral conflict. Under Frank Lloyd's direction, the film amplified tensions between Christian and Charles Laughton's icy portrayal of Captain Bligh. That contrast wasn't historically precise. Historians like Caroline Alexander argue Bligh was more disciplinarian than tyrant, but it served the film's narrative. Christian's shift wasn't just personal, it embodied a broader question. When does obedience become complicity? While Depression-era audiences may have been drawn more to the spectacle than the subtext, contemporary scholars often read Christian's rebellion as a cinematic echo of larger societal unrest. The film took home Best Picture at the 1936 Academy Awards and helped solidify Gable's status as more than a romantic icon. His portrayal added new dimension to his career, gritty, conflicted, and morally charged. Christian's journey remains one of the Golden Age's most compelling transformations. Not just a mutiny at sea, but a rebellion of conscience. Stella Dallas and Stella Dallas. In 1937, Stella Dallas redefined the cinematic portrayal of motherhood with a character arc that defied the era's conventions. Barbara Stanwyck embodied Stella as a loud, ambitious, working-class woman who refuses to shrink into domestic invisibility. At a time when Hollywood often sidelined mothers or softened them into moral paragons, Stella seized the spotlight. Unapologetically brash, emotionally raw, and defiantly out of place in high society. Her journey, drawn from Olive Higgins Prouty's 1923 novel and shaped by King Vidor's direction, was one of class conflict and maternal sacrifice, rendered with devastating clarity. Stella's transformation, rising from factory worker to a mother, willing to erase herself from her daughter's life to secure a better future, landed far from triumph. The final image of her standing in the rain, watching her daughter's wedding from a distance, remains a masterclass in emotional restraint and visual storytelling. Though Stanwyck earned an Academy Award nomination in 1938, some critics and insiders felt her performance, stripped of polish and heavy with feeling, unnerved voters expecting elegance over grit. Film historian Jeanine Basinger later framed Stella Dallas as a keystone of the maternal melodrama, a genre rooted in sacrifice and social constraint. Stella's flamboyant defiance, her clothes, her voice, her refusal to play refined, challenged Depression-era ideals about class mobility and femininity. Was she a tragic figure, a hero, or simply a woman out of sync with the world around her? The refusal to resolve her arc cleanly is what cements Stella as one of Golden Age cinema's most haunting and enduring character evolutions. Calvero in Limelight. In 1952, Charlie Chaplin's portrayal of Calvero in Limelight marked more than a return to drama. It became a poignant meditation on fading fame and personal exile. Calvero, a once celebrated stage clown now adrift in obscurity and existential doubt, mirrored Chaplin's own troubled standing in Hollywood amid political scrutiny. Forced into self-imposed exile after being denied re-entry to the United States, Chaplin infused Calvero's struggle with a quiet desperation that resonated deeply. The film's narrative, focusing on Calvero's mentorship of a young dancer played by Claire Bloom, reflected Chaplin's real-life role guiding emerging talent while grappling with his waning relevance. Though largely overlooked in its initial American release due to McCarthy-era tensions, Limelight grew in stature over time, securing Chaplin his only competitive Academy Award in 1972 for Best Original Score. Calvero's journey, marked by an open-ended, reflective speech declaring, "Life is a desire, not a meaning," stood as Chaplin's subtle farewell to the spotlight. This unfinished, introspective arc defied the era's preference for neat resolutions, cementing Calvero's place among the greatest development arcs in Golden Age cinema history. A complex figure embodying the painful, enduring human struggle against obsolescence. Lena Mcclaid Law and Suspicion. Alfred Hitchcock's Suspicion, released in 1941, hinges on one of the most psychologically complex character evolutions of the Golden Age, Lena Mcclaid Law, played by Joan Fontaine. At first glance, Lena seems like a textbook case of the shy, upper-class Englishwoman. reserved, naive, and deeply inhibited. But as the film unfolds, her internal world begins to fracture. Fontaine's portrayal subtly morphs from timid to tormented, as Lena suspects her charming husband Johnny, played by Cary Grant, may be plotting her death. Fontaine's performance didn't just earn her an Oscar, it made history. She remains the only actor to win an Academy Award for a Hitchcock film. Critics at the time were divided, unsure whether her character's paranoia was justified or imagined. Hitchcock deliberately played with ambiguity, even shooting multiple endings. According to studio rumors, RKO executives feared tarnishing Grant's image by making him a villain, pressuring Hitchcock to soften the conclusion. Several academic voices conjectured that the original script ended with Johnny actually poisoning Lena, an idea quietly buried by the studio. Whether true or not, the tension between what Lena believes and what the audience sees creates one of the most subtly unsettling arcs of the era. Her transformation isn't loud or dramatic, it's psychological, internal, and deeply unsettling. Fontaine's restrained unraveling made Lena Mcclaid Law a standout in Hitchcock's gallery of anxious protagonists and a defining example of character evolution in early psychological thrillers. Lucy Warriner in The Awful Truth. In The Awful Truth from 1937, Lucy Warriner, played by Irene Dunne, enters as a polished, quick-witted socialite tangled in a divorce she may or may not want. What unfolds isn't just a screwball comedy of errors. It's a subtle evolution of character rarely seen in the genre at the time. Lucy doesn't simply fall back into her husband's arms. Instead, she confronts her own pride, learns to listen, and redefines what love should look like. Dunne's performance, nominated for Best Actress at the 10th Academy Awards, walks a fine line between comedic timing and emotional nuance. Director Leo McCarey, who won Best Director, reportedly encouraged improvisation on set. Some speculate this gave Dunne space to shape Lucy's arc with more realism than the script alone allowed. Compared to the passive or idealized female leads of the era, Lucy's transformation into a more self-aware partner stands out. Legends tease that McCarey modeled the central conflict on his own failed marriage, adding another layer of emotional truth to the film's core. Whether that's fact or just Hollywood lore, Lucy Warriner remains a prime example of character complexity hiding beneath the chaos of classic comedy. Rick Blaine in Casablanca. Rick Blaine in Casablanca didn't storm into cinema as a war hero. He slouched in, drink in hand, cloaked in shadows and sarcasm. In the hazy corners of his Moroccan nightclub, neutrality was his shield. But Rick wasn't always so guarded. Hints of a past and anti-fascist efforts and a heartbreak in a pre-occupation Paris revealed a man once fueled by purpose. When Ilsa Lund steps back into his life, that rigorously maintained aloofness begins to fracture. The standoff that follows isn't merely romantic, it's political, personal, and excruciatingly human. Released in late November of 1942, just weeks after the Allies began Operation Torch in North Africa, Casablanca strangely paralleled real events. Some viewers theorized the timing wasn't random, though no official link was ever established. During production, Rick's overall journey remained in flux. Early drafts depicted him as colder, more jaded. Yet as filming advanced, his conversion into a hesitant hero took shape, thanks partly to Humphrey Bogart's increasingly layered portrayal. The final airport sequence? Reworked multiple times. Some cast members reportedly didn't know the ending until the closing days on set. And that signature line, "Here's looking at you, kid," it wasn't in the original script. Rumor has it Bogart lifted it from his off-camera poker chatter, and it stuck. When the film won Best Picture at the Academy Awards in 1944, it wasn't merely a studio success, rather it stood as a testament to Rick Blaine's nuanced progression. Sacrifice over sentiment, conviction over comfort. His evolution set a high bar for morally intricate protagonists in Hollywood's golden era. If you've enjoyed this video, please leave a like and comment. Also consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell to get notified of our new videos each week. Thanks for watching.